I can hear it clearly.
Okay, well, let me just throw this question out first. Jonathan, maybe if you want to answer.
Oh, can we turn down the volume a bit? Great.
If you can hear me.
Sure, I can.
Tell me a little bit about how much of a problem this is, financial literacy among college students in Kentucky.
Well, it's a problem that's not only extensive, but it appears to be getting worse. Every survey that's been taken, both in Kentucky and nationwide, reveals that financial illiteracy among young people, college students, in grade through high school, is getting worse as the years progress, and that's a frightening. It's a frightening statistic, because what that means is that as the new economy progresses during the 21st century, we're raising a generation of young people who are unaware with not only how to use a credit card, but some of the more basic skills, such as managing a family budget or even balancing a checkbook. And so this is something that we're working really hard in Kentucky on trying to reverse.
And do you see the problem at? Do you see them on any particular campuses more than others?
Well, my commission on personal savings and investment held a hearing on this very issue, and what we found is that this is a problem that's just very common across the state, whether we're talking about the four-year universities or the two-year community colleges. So it's something that's very common, and the problem really starts in the school system, the elementary through high school system, because while there are sporadic incidents of good financial literacy courses being taught, it's very rare, and our young people just simply aren't given the proper financial literacy education, so that by the time they get to college, they're unprepared for many of the responsibilities that come with leaving the home and being a full-time person. So that's why we're working real hard to try to develop curricula and to make sure we can get it into the classrooms in the state, and using Owensboro as our model this year of trying to get every elementary, high school, and middle school in Owensboro to have financial literacy curricula, and hopefully we'll then use that as a model to take to the rest of the state, and maybe a model for the rest of the country.
And tell me a little bit about what you've been able to find out in terms of why credit card companies are making these offers to college students who everyone knows they don't have any money.
Well, there are two reasons, and one is college students have parents, and many credit card companies feel that if the college students aren't going to pay their bills, maybe their parents will step in, and by the nature of being able to afford college, they might assume that the parents are going to not only be able to afford college, but also afford these credit card payments. But then there's also a new breed of credit card companies that target the higher risk borrowers and charge higher rates as a result, and college students who don't have a stream of income can fit very well in that higher risk category. So you've got those two things working, and additionally you've just seen an explosion of credit cards everywhere, so it's natural that college students are going to be a target.
Do you think that the credit card companies will be willing to go along with whatever you'd like them to do?
Well, I think that the leading established credit card companies ultimately will come to the conclusion that reforming their practices, getting rid of the more egregious, aggressive marketing practices on campus will not only be good for the college students, but good for them also. What we've seen in this economy, in this poor economy right now, is a race to the bottom. The hungrier, the fly-by-night credit card companies are using the most outlandish, egregious, aggressive practices, and the established credit card companies, in order to compete, are having to do some of the same principles. And I think that ultimately they will agree that if we can cut out the practice of sending students into dorm rooms and having them sell credit card applications so that they can meet quotas and pay for their very expenses, and giving away gifts for exchange for filling out applications without truly educating students about what a credit card means, or offering free money without explaining that it comes with a hefty price tag. Those sorts of egregious practices, I think they'll eliminate once we can get some agreement on the state and national level.
And this next one may be a question for Senator Bayh, but do you think some sort of legislation might be needed somewhere down the road to ultimately fix this problem?
I do. The surveys show that 82% of high school seniors can't pass a basic financial literacy test. But then when they go into college and are bombarded with these credit card offers and have to make other important financial decisions, They don't have the basis of information they need to make wise decisions for their future. So it could be that there are some steps that we can take to promote financial literacy, to encourage colleges and other institutions to offer the kind of basic courses that young people need to prepare them to make important financial decisions in their lives.
Do you think it would ever get to a point where there'd be legislation that anyone under 21 can't possess a credit card?
I don't think it'll get to that point. After all, people under 21 years of age can vote, they can drive automobiles, they can serve in the United States military, they can get married, they can start a business, they can do many, many other things that show a degree of responsibility. So I don't think we'll have a paternalistic government policy that just has a flat prohibition, but I do think we may do some things legislatively to encourage the kind of information and education that young people need to make responsible decisions on their own. I do think we might move in that direction.
Okay.
I don't think anybody seriously is talking about banning credit card use, but rather taking away some of the more egregious marketing practices is what we're looking at. And legislation in Kentucky that Susan Westrom, state representative from Lexington, has proposed would get rid of some of the more egregious practices as well, and even more importantly, to promote financial literacy through mandatory freshman orientation classes where kids learn how to use credit cards as well as other important tools.
Do the colleges get any sort of benefit out of letting these credit card companies come on campus and solicit the students?
Yes, some colleges are getting multi-million-dollar benefits. Several colleges across the country have signed multi-million-dollar contracts up to $15–20 million to allow a credit card company to have the exclusive right to market on campus. And while these times are tough for the colleges because of state budget cutbacks across the country, we're urging the university presidents to be as responsible as possible and to make sure that while there needs to be credit cards on campus, credit cards aren't an evil, to make sure that the credit card companies aren't engaged in aggressive marketing tactics, and that there is some education provided on the level for freshmen. And most of the college presidents we've discussed with think that that's a good idea. They want to fight for the good of their students.
Is UK getting money from credit card companies?
You know, I don't know the answer to that. I know the University of Louisville has a multi-million-dollar contract.
Do you know if any other Kentucky colleges do?
I know Western Kentucky, and I'd be happy to get that information to you before your newscast, but there are several in the state that do get these contracts for exclusive marketing.
Okay. Treasurer, let me ask you one more question. This is off topic, but we do have the anniversary of 9/11 coming up, and we're doing a lot of special reports on that, and I just wanted to quickly get your thoughts on looking back at 9/11/01 and what you remember from that day.
Well, it was a horrible day. It was a day that we were really in a lot of shock. It was something that we couldn't believe had happened, and it's not a day that brings back very good memories. But I do tell you, I think that the weeks after 9/11, the months after, really were remarkable for this country. How we pulled together, how folks were donating blood, how folks were sending money into charitable organizations, and how the nation really pulled together. And so, while this certainly was a dark cloud that hung over the nation, there was that silver lining. And I hope that the youngest generation of Americans remembers not what happened particularly on 9/11 per se, but what the aftermath was, and how important community is, and how important fighting for each other and fighting for the folks that you live with is to the ethic of this country.
Great. Thank you very much, Treasurer, Senator. I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thanks.
100% delicious. Pick up some Orville Redenbachers today and start popping smart.
So, do you know on which sitcom Heidi Klum made her acting debut? It was Spin City. Originally signed to do 3 episodes, she wound up doing 6, playing herself.
By the way, you are the greatest lover I've ever had.
For some women, a little lipstick goes a long way. Women in search of make-unders right after this. You want
Is this still you, Frank?
to know how? Do it for your family. Do it for yourself. Make the pledge to be healthier in 2002.
Watch 12 News and log on to thehealthauthority.com for 12 steps to improve your health and for the pledge of the month. And stop by the pharmacy at
It's interesting how many. Exclusive credit card.
There. Do you hear me now?
I hear you.
Hi, how are you, Jonathan? Howard Ain here.
Oh, hey, Howard. How are you doing?
Good, good. Very interesting. This is like as wholesome as mother and apple pie. So I don't understand. Can each of you explain why this financial education isn't going anywhere in the Congress?
You want to give it the first shot, Jonathan?
Well, he asked about Congress.
Congress, yeah. All right. Howard, this is Evan Bayh. How are you?
What happened? Why did it just not even get for a vote?
Oh, I think maybe that's the Kentucky example.
I was talking to the senator.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, Jonathan.
Well,
what happened? Why did it not get for a vote in the Congress?
Well, there have been some votes on this in the context of bankruptcy reform, but I think there's a lot of confusion that has swirled about it up until now. Some people were under the impression that there was going to be a flat prohibition against anyone under the age of 21 from owning a credit card, which of course would include military personnel and a lot of other folks who are capable of making their own decisions. And so I think that with hearings like the one we had today, with initiatives like Treasurer Miller has pursued, we're going to be able to educate not only the public but our leaders about the important challenges here, and that we can have the best of both worlds. We can provide the financial information that our young people need to make responsible decisions, and then give them the freedom to do just that.
Yeah, Howard, we had some very responsible and balanced and bipartisan legislation pursued in the Kentucky legislature. It would have done two things. Number one, it would have cracked down on the more egregious marketing practices of credit card companies. And number two, it would have provided for mandatory financial literacy instruction on college campuses. And it passed the House of Representatives unanimously, went to a Senate committee without any opposition, and then mysteriously was not brought up by the Senate leadership on the floor. And so that's the way the legislation died. I'm hoping that's a credit more towards what the partisan brouhaha associated with the budget, and not the issue in that in the 2003 session that credit card reform legislation will be passed. But we'll be continuing to put as much public pressure on the legislature to make sure that we do have this sort of legislation.
Okay, thank you for clearing that up. Yes, I didn't realize. So that was in the state legislature. In the U.S. Congress, what can they do nationwide? So people in Ohio, people in Indiana, Senator Bayh, what can be done nationwide to make a dent in getting some better financial education in colleges today?
We can provide financial incentives to universities and colleges to offer orientation courses to incoming freshmen about financial responsibility and credit management. There's also a proposal before the Congress authored by Senator Dodd from Connecticut that would prohibit individuals under the age of 21 from getting credit cards unless they can show means of support for paying back the credit. They have a job, part-time or otherwise. They have a co-signature from someone who's in a position to take responsibility, or they've passed a financial responsibility and education course, a lot like the kind that Treasurer Miller would like to advance. I think it's a very worthy idea, and that's something that the Congress may take up later this year.
What about Senator, letting the parents of kids with credit cards get copies of all the bills until they're 21 or 22?
Well, Howard, that's an interesting idea. I suppose if the parents are on the hook for paying the bill, that might be worthwhile. You got issues of privacy there, obviously. If the young person is working a part-time job to pay the bill, you have to wonder why they'd be required to show somebody else what they were buying. They're able to get married, join the military, drive a car, start a business, do other things without sharing that kind of information. So I guess this is just an off-the-seat-of-my-pants answer to you. If the parents are on the hook for paying the bill, that might be appropriate.
Co-signers often.
I'm sorry?
As co-signers often they are.
Well, if they're required to co-sign, then perhaps they should have that right. In cases where they're not co-signers, then perhaps it's a different story.
Right. Okay. Well, very good. Good luck to both of you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Jonathan.
Thank you, Howard.
Senator,
Yes.
could you just say, hi, this is Senator Bayh. Good morning, Cincinnati.
Yeah.
Morning show.
Hi, this is Senator Evan Bayh. Good morning, Cincinnati.
Great. I think they'll enjoy that. Thank you so very much.
Have a little Grater's ice cream for me.
There you go. Thank you.
Go Reds.
Best ice cream in America.
Yeah, we've got a couple restaurants now, a couple Graders in Lexington.
Is it in Lexington?
Yeah.
Indianapolis.
Oh, that's my favorite restaurant.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Senator Bayh, good afternoon.
Ross at the second station we skipped over.
Hello.
Looked in.
Okay.
So they actually got the footage. So
Great.
you guys got 3 for 2.
Terrific.
In regards to 2.
Great.
Great.
Do you have the data here?
Yeah.
for me?